Unmanned aerial vehicles or drones are the future for aerial mobility in India. The Indian drone policy has been unleashed. Drone makers like Dynamatic Technologies are using the new policy to make quality Indian drones. This drone, which is spraying a certain chemical on this guava orchard, is the way for smart agriculture in India. On this episode of Life and Science with Pallava Bagla, all about drones, from military drones to commercial drones and drones which can be used for putting vaccines in the field. India using technology for making of a new India. In my hand, I hold a small drone, actually a Chinese-made drone. Air mobility is likely to change in times to come, and drones are likely to play an important role both in military use, civilian use, and the way your and my lives are defined in times to come. India now has a forward-looking drone policy. And on this episode of Life and Science with Pallava Bagla, it's all about understanding drones. And who better to explain details of drones than Mr. Udyant Malhotra. Namaskar, sir. Thanks a lot for giving us time. Udyant also goes by the name Toby, and he is the CEO of Dynamatic Technologies, one of India's precision engineering companies, better known for aerospace, and works with Airbus, Boeing, and the best companies in the world. But today giving India solutions on drones. Now let me keep this drone aside and continue talking to Udyant. Thanks a lot for giving us time. Namaskar, sir.
Namaste. Thank you.
Toby, for a layperson, can you tell what are drones?
Well, drones are autonomous systems. What you showed us today is, as you put quite rightly, a Chinese-made drone. We have to credit China. They had a very enabling policy, and they've captured about 80% of the world's drone market. We're not talking about military drones. We're talking about the commercial drones that people buy and use as toys. They use it for taking wedding photographs and travel photography. You have to give them credit. The drones that you were holding in your hand are very commercial. They're very cleverly designed and built, and they're cheap. The risk and danger is that all your personal memories, your geolocational data, when you videograph it on this equipment, the data goes and gets backed up on Chinese servers. And eventually, data is very valuable. By exporting this data from all over the world to China through the drones, we're actually posing a security risk to our societies. It's the right time for what has happened in India, a very forward-looking drone policy. I think we have a very good opportunity because you're coming in second. You have the advantage of seeing what's already out there, and we already have a very deep design and industrial capability in India amongst research institutions, amongst the defense companies and a few companies like ours. And I think in this next wave, the drones will be designed for things like agriculture, for delivery, for data collection. You could, for example, have all the electric meters. Instead of a person from the Bangalore electricity going and measuring and collecting data, or water meters, you can have a drone flying on top, just capturing all the data and a bill being sent to all of us at home, for example.
You're talking of essentially concerns around privacy.
Yes.
And tell me a little bit about, first about the basic work you do at Dynamatic and your work on drones at Dynamatic.
Okay, so Dynamatic is a designer and manufacturer of highly engineered products. We've become the world's largest producer of hydraulic gear pumps. 34% of the world's tractors has a Dynamatic hydraulic pump inside it. And on the other hand, our Dynamatic Aerospace, we're a global tier 1 sole supplier of complex aerostructures for Airbus, Boeing, Bell Helicopter, and in India for HAL. So we make major sections of the airframes. We see a confluence of these two. We have been developing drones for the military, for military applications, largely sensing on our borders, but also other activities. We see a confluence, for example, in agriculture, where we can buddy up drones with tractors. You could bring in autonomy and sensors onto the tractors themselves that you have on the flying machines. And just imagine a situation where you plow a field where the intelligence has been given to the tractor by remote sensing from the drone, and then the drone comes back and follows the tractor as it plows. It drops seeds, or it provides fertilizers or pesticides. The future of agriculture can become very much more modern with very simple interventions using technology.
So here we see commercial drone, the kind of drones which we see in wedding parties, and the kind of drones which have been taking pictures all over the place. This is what, a commercial civilian drone?
Yes, this is actually a DJI. You have to say it, it's a remarkable Chinese company. They're the world's largest drone maker. But while it's a high quality commercial product, the danger is that whatever data we have gathered through it right now, our data, the locational data, and everything around us goes back to China.
Wow. So somebody in Beijing would probably know
That we are being
Toby and Pallava together at this point at Dynamatic.
And if we are people of interest, they can co-locate us with location, and they can also capture other data around us. So it's a security risk.
One aspect is civilian use.
Yes.
What are the military uses of drones?
Okay, so the military uses are far more sophisticated than this. At the basic level, you'd have surveillance. You'd be able to have eyes on your borders or inside your country, but you could weaponize these. You can connect them up and have them in swarms. And most importantly, these can be connected with the weapon systems of India. So you get situational awareness while you're out in the field.
India recently had a new drone policy.
Yes.
As somebody who's working on the cutting edge of drones, is the policy forward-looking and something which will help the industry and the public at large?
Well, it's exceptional. It's something we've been waiting for, and it's here. It's a very forward-looking, but it's also a big bang. The new drone policy will create a very new startup ecosystem, and will also allow companies like ours the ability to do big things. I'll give you an example. There's an opportunity to do at scale and speed the delivery of vaccines. You could do it with drones in inaccessible areas. You could have live organ movement which right now you have the corridors
Green
moving.
corridors you need to create.
Well, you could actually fly a liver from one hospital to the other. At a very mundane level, your order of Domino's pizzas could be coming to you by drone, and it can reduce traffic on the streets. So there are a lot of opportunities, some very sophisticated and strategic, but some very day-to-day and mundane.
New India, in a way, would be a lot drone driven.
Well, autonomy will make human beings more intelligent. You know, the drone will become a part of our ecosystem, not of the national ecosystem necessarily, but there'll be a ecosystem around you and around me, and they'll all talk to each other, and we'll interact with each other in 20 years through the machines around us.
Lovely.
And they'll also be connected to our watches, our phones, everything will be interconnected. It'll be the Internet of Things with amazing amount of data.
These are literally baby drones, commercial Chinese drones. Let's now go into the actual laboratory where research is happening for making drones which will change India. Let's go, sir. We are on the shop floor in Dynamatic Technologies. Toby, what kind of a drone we have behind us and what is the R&D you do?
So this is a heavy endurance quadcopter. It's currently configured as an agri-drone, which is capable of fertigation, pesticides, seeding, but it also can be purposed as a supply and delivery drone, including for medical supplies, vaccines, etc.
I'm told you're a hands-on worker. You still work on the shop floor. Can you show me some stuff?
Well, you know, just to get endurance, even the blades are carbon fiber, and you know, you can configure all these things, but everything on this drone is mil-spec. So it's very high endurance, although we'll use it for agriculture.
Mil-spec meaning military spec.
Military spec. So it's got the ability to withstand a very rugged use and abuse.
So what you've been able to fix that, and what is your team doing trying
So
to
our
get
team,
the R&D?
basically everything you see on the hardware, the software, the autopilot, the battery pack, the design, everything is internal. So there's deep industrialization. We don't buy any components just off the shelf. So it's the ability for us to mutate and change the design based on the use case is immense.
Let's take a look at your medical box and supply, especially from the perspective of vaccines being supplied by drones. One important use of drones could be supplies of medicines and vaccines. Toby, what is this box?
Well, so the same drone that can be used for agriculture can also be used for delivery.
Okay.
And if you look at this has actually been developed to deliver medical supplies up to Javans.
Life-saving.
Yes, yes. So up in the mountains where the air is thin, it's difficult to carry these things up. We use a drone. It delivers stuff, life-saving medical stuff to our Javans.
So saving the lives of Indian Jawans in the Himalayas?
Yes, indeed. Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, Jai Vigyan.
Wow, lovely. That is what New India will be.
Exactly. Thank you.
So this was civilian use of drones. Let's also see some military use of drones. Toby, what is this drone? This looks like military stuff.
Yeah, so it's basically a backpack with a tethered drone. It's called the Patang, like a kite. Because it's tethered, you have almost unlimited battery life because you've got the battery on the ground. You can look deep into the territory ahead of you and use it as an observation post. And you have a slave drone that opens up and flies out to get a closer look. So
Meaning this can fly further and you can relay.
Yeah, and it relays it to the observation post. So you have a camera here that can look across 10 kilometers. This one flies out and you get deeper knowledge, and it's a quieter, smaller drone. So,
And this is being developed for the Indian Armed Forces.
for the Indian Armed Forces. It really is to give an eye in the sky to our battalions in the field.
Excellent stuff.
Thank you. And the whole kit is less than 20 kilos, so one man can carry it.
And you can also put it on tanks.
It's actually to be used with tank battalions, RT battalions, etc.
What you see is a prototype. But behind the prototype, there is design, there is integration and testing. Let's go and take a look at that. If India has to succeed in making quality drones, then R&D is critical. Toby, what is happening here and what happens in the backdrop of all drone making?
So a lot of drone makers buy all the assemblies off a shelf. They buy kits and put it together and they become drone makers. We've developed all the software, the hardware, the ground control station, the energy packs, the battery management systems, the flight control systems, the optics, and the encrypted software for communication. All of it has been developed in-house, and it's all integrated together. So when you develop the components, we have to test them at component level, we have to integrate them, we have to test them as a system, and then you have to test them in an operating condition. So all of that is done here.
Thanks a lot, Toby, for explaining to us the nuances of drone technology and letting us into your shop floor. You come from a family of freedom fighters, and now you're helping India get free of the dependence on foreign technology on drones. What can be better than this for an Aatmanirbhar Bharat India? Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Let's now take a look at some military use, and the person speaking to us is India's Kargil hero and a pilot for drones for the longest time. We've seen one type of drones which have rotors. What you see here is a fixed wing military grade drone being developed in India. And to explain to us the nuances of drones being used in armed forces, we have with us Lieutenant Colonel Ravi Bandreddy. Ravi is a war hero from the Kargil war. Somebody who used drones back in that skirmish with Pakistan. A trained drone pilot now making drones for the country at a research and development stage. Ravi, before we get into some of your action in Kargil, what is this drone and what can it do?
This particular drone is a fixed wing drone, unlike the ones that you've seen earlier. They were all multi-rotors. Multi-rotors are used, as you're aware, in the commercial space as well as in the military space. The fixed wing drone that we are making right now, this is primarily for the military that we are making. This particular drone that you see right here is a surveillance drone, purely for surveillance purposes, with an endurance of about 2 to 3 hours, can be extended to 4 hours, with a range of 15 to 20 kilometers. Day and night surveillance, can be taken anywhere and everywhere, launched through this rail that you see, and recovered by a parachute. So you don't require like a big drones that we have generally seen in the hail mail category or the other categories that you've been hearing in the news, would not be requiring for this. Quick to launch, quick to prepare, turnaround time.
Tell me a little bit about what you did during the Kargil war.
Well, most of the things, I've been lucky enough to be one of the pioneers in the UAV system in India.
Which is unmanned aerial vehicles.
Yes. And we have been mostly flying the fixed wings, that's the searcher category and the Heron category and the big ones. We've got some real-time imagery from there, and it helped in shaping up the whole war. Now, from there, once you come back and apply those technologies in a miniature scale, you get these, where you have the versatility of operations, the versatility of terrain, the versatility of weather, and the best part is very flexible and deployable at the quickest possible time and recover in the quickest, do the surveillance.
Let me push you still on Kargil. So you saw Tiger Hill and the other hilltops using drones?
Not exactly during that particular time because of the initiative of the government, and we were following the air traffic rules and the international conventions and other things. So we really didn't use it on top of that, but at a later stage, yes, we did see that. And we were also deployed in the other sectors, which is well known. And we have got real-time intelligence during that period. If you see the latest developments, there have been a lot of threats. Like we had the example of the Jammu attack using the Pakistani drones. We had in the news where we saw the Pakistanis trying to drop ammunition or they carry the gun through drones. Now, we also require to counter those the counter-drone solutions or the anti-drone.
Anti-drones.
They also call it the anti-drone solutions. When you have an anti-drone solution, it has to be a holistic solution wherein you have various aspects of the AI integrated with the hardware and the drones, and a drone can also be used as an anti-drone. That being one spectrum. The second spectrum also is a swarm, or if not a swarm, at least a loiter munition drone that you've been hearing of late, wherein this particular bird that you see right here, in the second version of this will be a surveillance plus a loiter munition drone being made in-house, designed by our engineers.
Meaning you can put a weapon on this and fire a weapon from this drone.
That can be done, but what we are looking at is the loiter munition where the ammunition per se, the explosive, is part of the fuselage inside. So you have a very versatile platform wherein you're doing a surveillance. You do the surveillance, you find a very high importance target. You can use this drone as a kamikaze and then it goes.
Oh, it's like a suicide mission by the drone.
Yes. And if you don't want it to be a suicide, you can abort it at that last moment or just do the surveillance and come back. And if you have a swarm of these drones operating, it is the game changer for the war.
Thanks a lot, Lieutenant Colonel Ravi, for explaining to us the military nuances and uses of drones.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. From here, let's go and take a look at other very novel uses of drones. We are in rural Karnataka in a guava orchard, and you see a drone which is specialized for agriculture lifting off for doing some spraying on agriculture. This particular drone has been developed by Dynamatic Technologies, one of India's versatile precision engineering company. This drone can also do lifting of medicines. You can make out it is spraying some chemicals on these guava plants. Nagaraj, you are the developer for this drone. How can we deploy this drone for different activities?
Yeah, this agriculture drone we developed for farmers is a friendly, user friendly. This drone is present 25 liters capacity. Usually this drone we use for this farm 1 acre land 4 to 5 minutes.
And you can spray fertilizer, insecticide, growth promoters, you can spray anything.
No, seed spraying and fertilizer spraying and water spraying, all kinds of spraying activity we can use this.
And this is a prototype, but is the final product going to be simple for farmers to use?
Exactly. We are fine tuning this agri drone. We are doing.
This very specialized agriculture drone which is doing its work in this guava orchard is really the way forward for smart agriculture to come about in India. India has a very large population and feeding them requires great inputs of agriculture. One way to do that is to deploy drones. The Indian drones have been unleashed Keep watching India Science.